Good morning, everybody. I'm Barbara Hernandez, Communications Director for Pinellas County Government. Today, we will provide a brief update about the anticipated impacts of Hurricane Helene and how our county is responding. You will hear from Emergency Management Director Kathy Perkins, as well as Sheriff Bob Gualtieri. Also joining us at the podium are County Administrator Barry Burton, Duke Energy President Melissa Seiches, and Safety and Emergency Services Director Jim Fogarty. After our updates, we're going to take questions first from media in the room and then from media via Zoom. If you have questions and you are on the Zoom call, please raise your hand and we will unmute you so you can ask your question at that time. Now let's hear from Kathy Perkins, Emergency Management Director for Pinellas County Government.
Good morning. Hurricane Helene will bring dangerous storm surge, strong winds, rain and flooding to our area today. We're already witnessing street flooding in Gulfport and areas of Shore Acres. We are under a storm surge warning, tropical storm warning, hurricane watch, flood watch, and tornado watch. It's only going to get worse, folks. Tropical storm force winds are already starting to appear in our county, and they'll increase throughout the day. We anticipate those winds to be in our county for about 12 hours. That storm is just going to continue to grow, and even though it's offshore from us, we are going to have impacts here. Do not ignore the storm surge warnings that we've been putting out. Be prepared for a storm surge of 5 to 8 feet. That is enough to sweep your car away and potentially kill people. Idalia was 4 feet. What we're talking about here, and this graphic shows you where the storm surge was with Idalia, where we had over 1,500 homes in Pinellas County flood. We are talking about peak surge up to about 10 feet. This is much higher than what we had for Idalia. So for those of you that stayed in place in the A zone, this is not the same story. This is, you need to get out of zone A, period. We are recommending that you are out of there by noon at the latest. As I said, there are already roads that are starting to flood. It's only going to get worse. What we don't want is once it gets to a point where the roads are flooded, if you try to get in your car, now you're going to be stuck on the road. No one's going to be able to come out and get you, and that water's going to keep rising. So if you are not out of zone A by noon, then you need to stay put in your house, and you're going to have to climb up on top of furniture or counters. Keep yourself up there. We are talking about this storm surge at its peak around 9 o'clock tonight. And then it will be going down. We'll still see it early tomorrow morning. So this is not a quick event. This is a long-lasting, deep water event for those of you that live in Zone A. I really want to stress that our emergency responders are amazing, and they have been there for you. They helped people during Ada. They helped people during Idalia, and I'm sure we will see heroic acts today. But there will come a point where they cannot respond, and you will be on your own. We have 6 shelters open: Dunedin Highland Middle, Gibbs High, John Hopkins Middle, Largo High, Wheelman Innovation, and Palm Harbor. If you do not have friends or family, or you cannot stay at a hotel or a motel outside of this Zone A, you are welcome to come to one of these shelters. They are free. We have pet-friendly shelters. If you have a pet, I do not want you to stay at home because you feel like you can't take your pet with you. We have special needs shelters. If you need assistance, and you are not on the registry and you haven't been evacuated, you can call our County Information Center at 727-464-4333. We will do everything we can to get people out today. If you have friends or family or someone that can help you, please call on them. PSTA is going to run one shot up and down the barrier islands today on Gulf Boulevard. Starting at 10 o'clock, they're going to run a bus from Park Street south to 75th Street, and then also a bus north. All right, so if you need public transportation today and you are on one of our barrier islands, you need to get out to one of those bus stops and get on that bus. That's it. One shot today if you need public transportation. Uber is offering free rides for people. I can't guarantee how long they're going to run because these are individual drivers, right? And many of them may have low-profile vehicles. And frankly, if I was a driver and I started to see water already on the roads, I don't know that I would want to be responding out there. But you can call Uber. You can use the account code Helene Relief, HELENE RELIEF, and you can get a $40 voucher for up to 2 trips. And again, if you have specialized transportation needs, if you cannot get on that public bus, if you do not have friends or family that can take you, or you cannot use your own vehicle, you can call the County Information Center at 727-464-4333, and we will do everything that we can. I cannot promise that we can get you, but we will do everything that we can. For those of you that live aboard boats, get off. Do not try to ride out this storm on your boat. Those marine conditions are going to be much worse than we saw for Debbie. If you have a boat in the water or on land, make sure you secure it as best as you can, right? Because we all saw what happened in Lee County with all of their boats that came loose and came ashore. So we don't want to have all these boats and all this debris. So do your best to secure that this morning. If you live in the areas where the storm surge is going to be and you have an electric vehicle or a golf cart or an e-bike or even one of those little scooter things that have those lithium-ion batteries in them, if they get exposed to salt water, they can catch on fire. Move those items outside of the surge zone. Get it out of your garage, definitely, because if it catches on fire, now it's going to catch your house on fire. Please, this is serious stuff, folks, and we saw a lot of fires after Hurricane Idalia. If you are evacuating off the beach, you're in the surge zone, turn your breakers off, because what we saw after Idalia, for people that had water that came up over your outlets, and your outlets are only about 18 inches high in your house, we had a lot of power surges and we had house fires from that. You can continue to call the County Information Center. We will be open 24 hours a day. If you need assistance, if you really don't know your zone at this point, you can call them. You can look it up at disaster.pinellas.gov. If you need help with evacuation and you have specialized transportations, call them at 727-464-4333. You can go to disaster.pinellas.gov to get the latest information. Please, folks. I'm not kidding. So look at this graphic. The surge that we had for Hurricane Idalia is that blue line. What we are expecting is where the red arrow is. 5 to 8 feet of storm surge with wave action. This is serious. Now is the time to get out of the A zone. With that, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Gauthier.
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning, everybody. So I'm just going to distill it down and put it in some really plain speak. Everybody just needs to get out. Right? We got a problem, and the problem is that way too many people in Zone A aren't listening. We've been out there this morning. There's still way too many people in the areas covered by Upper Tampa Bay, on Tampa Bay itself on the east side, and out there in the barrier islands along Gulf Boulevard. So for the majority of the county, not overly concerned. This is not something from a wind and a rain event that we're overly concerned about. So what that means is that the people that are in the area that we call Zone A, which is the vulnerable area, which is the area that it's not a question of if, there's going to be problems, and there's going to be significant problems. is that they need to get out of that area. It doesn't mean that they got to go to Georgia. It doesn't mean they got to go to North Carolina. They go to US 19. Just get out of the area that you will not be able to get out of come this afternoon and early this evening. The peak times for this, where it's going to be way too late, are going to be from late this afternoon through the overnight hours. And we're not going to see that water dissipate until probably very early tomorrow morning. At that point, we'll be able to do some damage assessment and roadway assessment and see if we can get those roads cleared. But you have to help us help you. And if we can't do our job and you all are in the way and we have to do a whole bunch of rescues, then we're going to have to shut down the access to the barrier islands, and we're going to have to close down roadways, and it's going to be impassable, and we're not going to make it as easy as we can for everybody to get back out there, get the businesses open, and get everybody back to normal life as quickly as we can. That's what we want to do. The goal here is not to have to shut down access to the barrier islands. But if we got a whole bunch of people out there and people are stranded and it's impassable and we're having to deal with all these rescues, then we're not going to be able to get the roads open as quickly as we can. And there is no question, think about this, that this is dangerous. No question about it. And it's not something we've seen recently. So this is different. This is unique. And again, this really just applies to the people that are in Zone A in those vulnerable areas. So they got to get out. And there's going to reach a point where you're on your own, because we're not going to get our people killed because you don't want to listen to what we're saying. So, you know, it's just going to reach a point where you got 8 feet of water with wave action. It's just too dangerous. So now's the time. And we already see and getting reports of on Gulf Boulevard right now and over on the east side in some of the areas of Tampa Bay, Shore Acres area, we're already seeing some flooding. The water is already up on Gulf Boulevard in a couple of places, and that's at 8:15 in the morning. And that isn't even when it started yet. So think about what it's going to be at 6 and 7 o'clock tonight. And when you talk about 8 feet, think about that. That's taller than me. That's a problem. So, you know, and the rescue workers that are out there is that we've seen problems in the past where they get stuck. We had an incident with one of the fire departments a few months ago during Debbie, where people, and that wasn't bad. That was like a nothing burger. And the water was so bad in one place that one of the fire trucks, okay, I mean a big, huge fire truck, got stuck, and the firefighters were stuck on the truck because they were so deep in the water. And I was there and saw it, and we had to send boats to rescue the firefighters. And that was nothing. So think about that. And that's what people are going to face. So if you're going to stay in your houses, you're going to stay in your condos, you're going to stay on these places in these Zone A areas, these low-lying areas that are going to get a significant amount of water, is that you're going to have a problem. So really, listen to what we're saying. We don't take it lightly. We're not saying it lightly. And we're asking you to help us make this as safe as possible for everybody and allow us to, as quickly as possible and with as least amount of disruption, is get everybody back to normal as quickly as we can. If everybody helps us, is that we might be able to make significant progress during the day tomorrow and get things back on track. And again, we're only looking at that area of the county that is in that low-lying level A area. So just get out, go to a friend's house, go to a hotel on US 19, go wherever, just get out of Zone A. So, with that, I think turn it over to.
We're ready for questions now?
Yeah, okay, question, anybody got a question? Yeah.
Sheriff, have you yourself been out trying to convince people to evacuate, and if so, what have those interactions been like?
So I have not. I'm going to get out there now. Get out there as soon as we leave here. I'm going to get out. But our deputies have been out there. And the problem with it is it's the usual thing, and I understand it. Is people are like, I've weathered it before. I'm going to weather it again. But this is what I'm saying is that this is not wind and rain, and this is a water event. And the premise is that you can, and it's the accepted practice to shelter in place for wind and rain. But for water, you have to evacuate. And we haven't seen water like this. And I can tell you from the beginning of the predictions up through 20 minutes ago and we're already seeing it. So the proof's there that they're not going to be wrong on this. And we are going to see 8, maybe 10 feet of water. So it's a very, very different situation. So we're asking people to take it differently, to act differently, react differently. And let's not do what we've done in the past, because it's not going to be good. Anybody?
What do you have in place to do rescues for as long as you can?
Well, we got a lot, but I'm a little cautious about telling you what we got with specificity, because I don't want to give people a confidence factor that, oh, they'll just come get us, we're going to be fine because they got boats and they got these how many we got and how many people. Look, we got it, all right, but there's going to reach a point where we don't have it and we're not coming. So, if people want to put themselves in that situation where they're stuck and we're not coming, that's not a good decision. It's not healthy. So, of course, we have plenty staged of high water vehicles, shallow water boats, teams of deputies and other rescue personnel. And we'll do it to a point, but don't rely on that. If you're relying on that and you're waiting, I'm just going to wait this thing out and, they'll come get me. That's not a smart decision. That's silly, and we all heard the adage, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Somebody's going to win a stupid prize because they're not going to get out, and we're not coming.
Anyone else in the room? Okay, let's go to Zoom.
Oh, we have a question from Mark Parker online.
Hi everyone, Mark from the St. Pete Catalyst. First and foremost, thanks for everything you guys are doing to try to keep us safe. Not to be insensitive to the life and property risk, but can anyone speak to what this massive amount of storm surge will do to our stormwater and wastewater systems, and any precautionary measures that have been taken?
That's not me.
Hi, Barry Burton. You've got a lot of different wastewater systems out there. They're able to handle a certain amount, but at a certain point, the water will just inundate the system. We're anticipating you're going to have pump stations and other things like that will be overwhelmed. And so you can expect, some discharges. In terms of the plants, it depends on the capacity of the plants and their ability, to handle that. From the county standpoint, we have areas where we, in essence, use the lines to store that flow and then pump it down to the plants as we can process it. At a certain point, the water likely will overwhelm it. And that's just, the way this system's designed. The pipe can only hold so much. But there's precautionary plans in place. We have an emergency operations team for our utilities department that will manage this. They have pumps and portable generators and things like that they move throughout the system to try to best keep all of that flow within the system. And that's what they'll be working on all day today.
Any other questions from Zoom?
Line at this time.
Okay. Any questions in the room?
Barbara, can I just say one more thing? So I know we have people that live in condos, maybe you live on the second or the third floor, and you're thinking, 5 to 8 feet, that's not going to affect me. Your elevator systems, your electric systems are usually all on the ground floor. Your fire suppression systems, if there's a drop in water pressure, are not going to work. If you have a fire in your building, someone left an electric vehicle underneath the building catches on fire, nobody's going to be able to get out to you. So even if you live on a higher floor, you are not safe. There's going to be sand on the roads. It's going to take time for us to get back out there. I'm sure there's going to be widespread power outages. So don't think just because you live on a higher floor, you're safe. If you live in the A zone, you need to get out.
Last call for questions?
Just in the EOC, I would ask, is there an estimate on how many people are in the call center and in the room at the time for the duration?
We have about 30 people in the call center. I think in the EOC, we can have like 140 people. We'll probably have some double shifts in here because we've already brought in people. So we have people that we think aren't going to be able to get back tonight. So we have double shifts in here. When I came in this morning, about 900 people in shelters. Before I came down here, we had about 1,200 people in shelters. We have capacity, folks. We have capacity in the shelters. There's lots of room. So, come with your pets. You can take your pets on the bus. We've got the special needs shelters. Just get out of Zone A, right? come and stay in those shelters. We got a lot of people upstairs that are working at, we're already talking about the response, about the damage assessment, leaning forward for, cleaning the roads. So we're already talking about what we're going to do post-storm. But I need everybody out there to focus on getting themselves to safety this morning.
The sheriff touched on this, is my last thing. Sheriff touched on this, it's a group effort, it's a team effort. We're not just kind of counting on the weather to cooperate and be merciful, but we're counting on each other. Can you kind of speak to that and how our actions can kind of affect others?
From the media's actions, or?
Citizens' actions.
Everybody has a role to play, right? At this point, every single person out there is an emergency manager. The choices that you make today are going to impact your life, right? So if you have a neighbor, if you live on Zone A and you have a neighbor, go knock on their door, get them out of there. We all need to help each other. We are all in this together. I need every business out there. If you're a business and you're in Zone A and you're trying to get out, shut it down. Take care of your employees. Everybody has to do something. Everybody has to play a role. We have to be supportive. At this point, yes, the interior parts of our county, they're going to see winds. We could have tornadic activity today. We could have power outages. We could have rain bombs. We could have some localized flooding. But let's all open our doors. Let's help each other. Everybody out there has a role to play. If you have a business and you're making your employees come in, you need to shut down. You need to give your employees a break. Make sure that everybody's safe. And when conditions are nice tomorrow, then you can start to reopen. But today, we have got to focus on keeping everybody safe. So check on your neighbors. If you are out of state and you have a stubborn relative that you know lives in the A zone, call our county information center. Let us know that there's somebody out there. Like I said, we will do everything we can for as long as possible to help people. But we need everybody in the community to play that role.
Stephanie, can you just reiterate the timing for folks? People in Zone A should be leaving, expecting not to return until tomorrow, most likely. And folks in the rest of the county, is there any sort of shelter in place or?
Everybody should shelter in place because I don't know what's going to happen. So we could have strong gusts of winds. We could have tornadic activity. So if we have tornadoes, you're going to want to get into an interior space. If there's any high wind advisories or tornado warnings as they're issued, trust me, your phones are going to be going off today. You are going to be getting notifications from the National Weather Service. It's probably going to drive everybody crazy, but the reason that we do that is for safety, right? We want to get your attention. We are going to send out a wireless emergency alert when we leave here to tell everybody in Zone A, once again, get out, right? So we do that for a reason. We want to get your attention. We want you to get out. So, I think for the most part, people in the other areas aren't going to have shelter in place. I've already heard comments from people, well, I live in a mobile home, and why do I have to evacuate? Because we're not going to see the hurricane force winds. I can't tell you where the tornadoes are going to be. I can't tell you where the trees are going to be uprooted and come down. And mobile homes, where are you going to hide inside of a mobile home if you get a tornado warning? There is no place to hide inside of a mobile home. So we need everybody to be prepared for that. In terms of, so the waters are going to start to recede tomorrow morning. What we don't know is what the community is going to look like. We don't know, FDOT's going to get out there and they're going to assess the bridges coming into the county. We're going to have to look at what does Gulf Boulevard look like? Do we have 100 boats or 1,000 boats all over the place? We don't know what it's going to look like yet. So I can't tell people it's going to be safe for them to move around as soon as the sun comes up. I'm going to implore you, in fact, shelter in place, stay home, stay with your loved ones. If you have to cook your food on the barbecue grill tomorrow morning, have your breakfast together, stay home. Don't be out on the roads going around. As the sheriff said, we're going to have to get a lot of people out there to assess and then start cleaning up. And heaven forbid, we have people that didn't leave, and now we've got to be doing rescues.
Any other questions? All right, so I just want to remind everybody of the County Information Center phone number to call. That's 727-464-4333. Matt, I do want to follow up on a question you had earlier about outreach to the residents and kind of what we're hearing from them. So the county did boots on the ground outreach yesterday to some of our mobile home communities that we know traditionally are in low-lying areas that traditionally flood. We did speak with several dozen residents, and one thing that we hear that was a little different this time is residents were already moving their vehicles out to higher ground, and they were already planning to leave. So certainly the tone has changed in our community with this particular hurricane situation, and we hope that their neighbors and others in the community will heed the same advice. With that, we're going to close today's press conference. We thank everybody for joining us, and again, we're available for any additional questions after this. Thank you very much.